From the moment Stranger Things Season 5, Volume 2 begins, the show quietly dismantles one of its longest-running assumptions, that the Upside Down was the ultimate threat. For years, Hawkins and the Upside Down were framed as opposing sides of a war, mirror images locked in a supernatural standoff. Volume 2 reveals something far more unsettling. The Upside Down was never the enemy. It was the hallway leading to one. Picking up immediately after Volume 1's explosive ending, Volume 2 doesn't waste time escalating action. Instead, it escalates understanding. The series shifts from survival horror into full mythological reckoning, forcing both the characters and the audience to confront a truth that's been hiding in plain sight since Season 1. Everything that's happened was part of a much larger system, and Vecna was never working alone. The biggest shift comes through Will. After 5 seasons of being the emotional barometer of the show, Will's connection to Vecna finally evolves into something tangible. Volume 2 confirms that Will isn't just sensitive to Vecna's presence. He's actively linked into the same hive mind. He can feel Vecna's focus, his intent, and in some moments, even his hesitation. At first glance, this feels like the advantage the party has been missing. But the show quickly reframes it as something far more dangerous. Will's powers don't suddenly weaken Vecna. Instead, they expose how far ahead Vecna already is. While the party is still trying to regroup and make sense of what happened in Volume 1, Vecna is already executing the final phase of a plan that's been unfolding for decades. Several members of the group remain trapped deep in the Upside Down, while the rest scramble for information in a Hawkins that feels increasingly unstable. Communication breaks down, rifts widen. The sense of urgency isn't driven by countdown clocks. It's driven by inevitability. At the same time, Volume 2 brings back Kali, a character many viewers assumed had been left behind in the show's past. Her return isn't nostalgic, it's strategic. Kali's escape with Eleven and Hopper from the upside-down military facility confirms something chilling. The government no longer believes this situation can be controlled. The containment phase is over. What's left is damage control. Eleven's storyline in Volume 2 becomes less about raw power and more about consequence. She's no longer just the weapon used to fight monsters. She's living proof that the world never stopped trying to recreate what Brenner started. Kali's presence reinforces this idea. Brenner didn't fail. He succeeded, and others picked up where he left off. Meanwhile, Nancy's group stumbles into the most important discovery of the entire season. Their search through Hawkins' lab and the mysterious wall surrounding the Upside Down leads to a revelation that reframes the entire series. What they uncover, combined with Dustin's deductions, confirms that the Upside Down is not a parallel world in the traditional sense. It's a structure, an interdimensional wormhole held together by exotic matter. Hawkins exists as one reality. Vecna's true domain, which Dustin labels the Abyss, exists as another, and the Upside Down sits between them, frozen in time and slowly decaying. This revelation finally explains one of the show's oldest mysteries, why the Upside Down looks like Hawkins. It didn't evolve that way. It was imprinted. When Eleven first made contact with Henry while locating him for Dr. Brenner, the bridge formed and mirrored Hawkins at that exact moment. The Upside Down isn't a distorted version of the present. It's a snapshot, locked in place from the instant the connection was created. The Abyss, however, is something else entirely. Volume 2 strongly suggests that the Abyss is the original home of the Demogorgons, the Mind Flayer, and the other entities that have plagued Hawkins since Season 1. The Upside Down was never their origin point. It was their passageway. Vecna didn't conquer the Abyss. He adapted to it. After being defeated by Eleven in Hawkins' lab years earlier, Henry didn't die. He evolved, reshaped by a world that didn't just tolerate monsters. It produced them. This is where Vecna's true plan finally becomes clear. As Will explains, Vecna no longer feeds solely on fear, trauma, or guilt. He uses people, particularly children, as psychic amplifiers. These vessels don't just empower him emotionally, they strengthen his ability to destabilize the bridge between worlds. The kids taken in Volume 1, including Holly, aren't symbolic victims. They're structural components in Vecna's design. Vecna's goal isn't invasion. It's convergence. The rifts opening across Hawkins aren't attacks, they're symptoms. Stress fractures forming as the wormhole weakens under pressure from both sides. As the bridge destabilizes, the two realities are pulled closer together. If the process completes, the real world and the abyss will collide, giving Vecna the opportunity to reshape reality itself rather than merely rule over it. This reframing changes everything. For 5 seasons, the characters believed the Upside Down was the source of all evil. Volume 2 reveals it was only ever the corridor. Max's return underscores this shift in tone. When she wakes up in her physical body, it feels like a victory that came too late. She survived Vecna's mindscape, but she didn't escape it untouched. Instead, Max becomes something new, a guide. She understands the internal logic of Vecna's mind, its pathways, its traps, and its blind spots. Her survival isn't about hope, it's about access. Holly's storyline is even more brutal. Her brief escape from Vecna's mindscape proves that resistance is possible. But Vecna's swift recapture of her makes one thing clear: he's still in control. Vecna doesn't react emotionally. He adjusts, recalibrates, and continues forward. Holly's role isn't finished. She's essential to the final stage of his plan. Everything changes when Nancy fires at the exotic matter, reinforcing the bridge. The resulting shockwave ripples through the Upside Down, confirming Dustin's worst fears. The structure reacts like a wounded organism, pulling matter inward and erasing it completely. Anything lost to the breach isn't destroyed. It's displaced beyond recovery. This moment forces the party to confront a terrifying truth. Vecna can't simply be defeated. As long as the bridge exists, the abyss will always have access. The Upside Down must be destroyed. The plan that follows is risky, incomplete, and deeply human. Steve suggests waiting until the worlds are closest together, when the radio tower physically breaches into the abyss. That breach becomes their entry point. 11. Max, Will, and Kali will confront Vecna psychically from the Upside Down's version of Hawkins Lab, using the sensory deprivation tank to access his mind directly. Meanwhile, the rest of the party will climb the radio tower into the abyss itself to rescue Holly and the other captured kids before the bridge collapses. Then Dustin introduces the final, most dangerous variable: the bomb. Hopper already has one. The plan is to plant it near the exotic matter, holding the bridge together, collapsing the wormhole entirely. The hope is that destroying the bridge will also destroy the abyss and everything inside it, including Vecna. It's not a guaranteed solution. It's a calculated gamble with reality itself as collateral. This brings Eleven's arc to its most devastating crossroads. Kali introduces a truth no one wants to confront. Even if Vecna is killed, the cycle doesn't end as long as 11 exists. Project Indigo, Dr. K's continuation of Brenner's work, proves that the world is still trying to replicate Henry's power. Blood transfusions, pregnant women, the pursuit of another superpowered child. All of it depends on 11 being alive. The implication is haunting. Vecna isn't the root of the problem. He's the result. The show flirts with the idea that the only way to end the cycle permanently may be for 11 to stay behind when the bridge collapses. Will's arc reaches its emotional and thematic peak here. His coming out isn't treated as a side story. It's a direct rejection of Vecna's control. Fear, shame, and isolation have always been Vecna's greatest weapons. By accepting himself and receiving unconditional support from the party, Will strips Vecna of one of his strongest leverage points. More importantly, Volume 2 suggests that Will can interfere with Vecna's influence in critical moments. He doesn't overpower Vecna. He blocks him, redirects him. When Will prevents Vecna from killing Max and Holly, it isn't about strength. It's about resistance. By the end of the bridge, the endgame is set. Murray successfully guides the group through the rift. The party splits up, fully aware that some of them may not return. 11, Will, and Kali head toward Hawkins Lab. Others move toward the radio tower. The bomb is prepared. For the first time in the series, the Upside Down is no longer a mystery. It's a failing structure. The abyss is exposed, Vecna is waiting, and victory may require the loss of the very person who opened the door in the first place. Stranger Things Season 5, Volume 2 doesn't promise a happy ending. It promises an earned one, where survival comes at a cost, and the world that remains may never look the same.